racing is a sport of extremes, of narrow margins, close call. From a distance, you'll see plastic toys all alike. Get close to it, you'll find it means many things to many people.
Driving fast used to cost me money. Now I make money at it.
Some people like to dance. Some people like to go to bars and drink. We just kind of ended up with this. It's a family project, more or less, to keep the kids all together, you know.
It beats an 8-to-5 job, and we get to be our own boss. And
we enjoy racing. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be doing it.
I dig drag racing. It's the most thing because I've done it all my life.
It's something I never thought was happen. My greatest aim in life at one time is I wanted to own a body shop and paint cars.
Drag racing is my whole life.
Hello, I'm Keith Jackson, here in Pomona, California, home of the National Hot Rod Association's Winternationals. You know, here in Southern California, the drag racers were moved off the streets, moved into controlled conditions so they could really let it all hang out. You take a quarter-mile stretch of straight pavement, make it into a stage, and let those drag racers turn loose all of that thunder and lightning. Time is the essence of drag racing, precious fractions of a second. Most of the drag racers say, I don't race the man, I race the clock. Ha! You take Big Daddy Don Garlits and put him against the snake Don Prudhomme. You've got something special, man to man.
These two hot shoes are at the top of their trade, masters of the hybrid speed machine, the AA fuel dragster, a slim missile-like vehicle that defies a lot of practical features. Don Garlits is a master builder and innovator.
This is my rear-engine top fuel dragster, cost of which about $15,000 to produce it. It's powered by a 1971 Dodge Hemi engine, supercharged, injected, produces about 1,800 horsepower. The section right here on the car is where the driver sits. This is what we mean by rear engine. The engine is behind the driver. Down in here we have a compartment where the driver's feet go. We have a steering wheel, a handbrake, parachute release, a fuel safety valve to cut the fuel off in case of a fire, one gauge, this is the oil pressure of the engine, and a switch that activates the magneto. This is the clutch pedal, and this is the accelerator pedal, which is like the gas pedal on your normal car. And up here we have the fuel tank, which has a capacity of 5 gallons, which is all that's necessary to make a quarter-mile run. It's a very simple machine. It's the basics. It's all you need, just whatever it takes to get from point A to point B.
Comparison, the AA fuel dragster and the family car. Dragster at least 1 horsepower for every pound. Family car, 1 horsepower every 20 pounds. Dragster, 240 miles an hour plus at the end of a quarter-mile strip, or 2 city blocks in just over 6 seconds. Family car, 75 miles an hour in 20 seconds. Comparison, old-style front engine against the new rear-engine car. Driver in front of the rear engine, obviously safer. New machine lighter, shorter, faster. Better horsepower to weight ratio out of the new rear-engine machine.
I had a bad accident in Long Beach in 1970, and it was in a slingshot. And while I was in the hospital, I decided that I was going to try something different, and I thought I'd try the rear engine. I didn't really expect it to be the fastest or the quickest, but I was looking for the safety of being up in front of the engine, and it's a very quick car out of the gate. It's a little harder to drive at times because the driver is the last one to know of any problems.
1,800 fiery horsepower, gulping volatile nitromethane fuel. Don Prudhomme also has strong feelings about rear-engine dragsters.
You get down to some runs, and you're sitting in the back of this thing. You're sitting actually behind a bomb.
Don Prudhomme has ridden with the bomb. September 1970, NHRA Nationals, Indianapolis Raceway Park. 2 slingshot dragsters. I was there for ABC. The near lane, Don Prudhomme. The far lane, Jim Nickel. They are both staged. At over 200 miles an hour, Jim Nichols' front-engine dragster literally ripped in half. Clutch sitting at his feet exploded like a circular saw gone wild. A drag strip nightmare. Don Prudhomme saw it all, felt the anguish.
You're on. I think I'm quit. Oh my God, I seen that car go by me. I couldn't believe it. There was no back section on it or nothing.
Prudhomme thought his friend was dead. Jim Nichols went to the banquet that same night.
At the time, I thought of quitting, but it's gets into your blood. You know, it's really hard to get away from.
And in my opinion, my rear-engine dragster is the safest dragster in the sport. I wouldn't be riding it if it wasn't, because I got no intentions of dying. I got a lot of racing to do.
Every segment of motorsports has its own personality, if you will. In drag racing, you can devote years to putting a piece of equipment together, preparing yourself, waiting in line to get to the starting line. Once you're given the green light, the whole thing can be over for you in just a little more than 6 seconds.
Most people, like a spectator, would only think of the 6.5 seconds as the competition, but the competition for me starts like right now in this tech line.
Don Garlits, big daddy of the sport, outspoken, wise by experience, argues his rear-engine dragster does not need a blower belt cover. He wins the argument.
Well, the fire's all back here.
That's right. I mean, now here you know, you might have a bad enough fire here to burn that through. That's a good idea. Okay.
Look good.
But you know, I know it's one rule to try to cover a multitude of cars, which is very difficult. Slingshot should have it.
If we had everything in here, the book would be that
It'd be as thick as a Webster's. Just a little extra harassment. Well, I find that the big problem with the technical inspection is the fact that you've got the people that build these cars, the chassis builders, which I'm one of. They come through these technical inspections, and the people that are inspecting them, 9 times out of 10, don't even know what the drag racing's all about. From the position we set in, they're trying to keep it safe for us, no doubt, but they're always looking at the wrong end of the horse, I feel.
Garlits and Prudhomme will disagree at tech inspection because they build their own machines.
I like the mechanical part of it. I like to build the cars and the engines and then go out and test them and make improvements from week to week, make changes. The driving, I enjoy the driving too, but I think that's secondary.
I decided that I was the hot setup as a driver, and I could drive anything and make it win races and go fast and quick. But that isn't the case. I got my own car. I soon found out that it takes a plenty good engine to win races, and I'm fairly good at working on the engines now. At least I think I'm good as anybody can find. But the engine, I would say, plays at least 80% of the performance of the car in winning races and so on.
The engine, 80%? True. Only if you're one of the best.
You know, your husband's the same thing. They work on their own cars.
Right.
That means so much. It's not like having somebody that may or may not know just what they're doing.
The wives of the best worry like all racing wives everywhere. Pat Garlits, Lynn Prudhomme.
But I think the answer is the same for all racers' wives. It's something that, you know, it's just as much a part of your life as your husband is, and you just grow to live with it. Right. And the fear, of course, I know I always have that little nagging fear in the back of my mind, but that's where I try to keep it.
Right, you have to, because they're doing what they want. I'm a nervous wreck all the time. From the time I get to the races, I'm just completely uptight. There was a while, for about a year, when he wasn't racing regularly. He had a ride, and he was driving, but just occasionally. And I think that was the hardest year of our marriage, because he wasn't happy, so he couldn't make me happy.
Right.
I know Don and I have been talking about getting a house where he can keep his cars right on the property. And I'm sure it would make all the difference in our life. Just to be able to have dinner together would be wonderful. Maybe one night a week we'll have dinner together, unless I drive down to Southgate and have dinner with him, which is usually a hamburger. So I think it would be great to have the cars right at the house. It is. I'd like that one of these days.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2 top names in the drag racing sport, Don the Snake Prudhomme and Don Garlits, side by side in qualifying here at the Winternationals. This rarely happens.
Bleach and chemicals poured on the pavement for burnout. Hot tires laying down paths of fresh, sticky rubber. A quicker starting surface on Pomona's green track. Used but once a year for drag racing.
Final run of an NHRA national event.
Prudhomme's engine sours. Balks. He'll have to run again. Garlits drives his way into the top 32 as the fastest qualifier.
You bet. I had plenty of adrenaline going that time. Didn't want that snake beating me.
With a sick engine, time slips by. The thrashing begins in Prudhomme's pit. If he can't get it right, the snake will miss the Winternationals. Again, staged. He's ready to run for qualification on the near side. Again, Prudhomme's engine fails him.
How far back do you think you get?
Word spreads that Prudhomme's in trouble. Help comes. Engine builder Keith Black, one of the best. Both men now surgeons over a suffering patient.
Blew the pop off it, bang, and it knocked the wires into the belt there. They pulled all the wires out of it, too.
I rate him as one of the top competitors out here, if not the top. He's always able to come through and race with what it takes. I mean, I pay no attention to how he time trials. As long as he gets in the program. Of course, he's not in the program yet. Now, he's got a problem right now. He's got to get back in that line and get another run in. And right now, that might be a real problem. He might just barely make it. Probably are. What's the problem?
Time running out for Don Prudhomme. The thrashing continues as darkness creeps across the horizon. With the last gasp of daylight, the snake prepares for one last shot at qualifying.
Don the Snake Prudhomme makes his 12th annual National Top Ability. And we're going to get the answer right now. And he's off. A tremendous charge. He makes the program.
Unusual that Don Prudhomme would be caught in a desperate moment like this, but the best have those kind of days.
Figured as long as it went straight and halfway did anything, it had to be, you had to be in the show.
Sunday morning, the arrival, the parade, the Winternational segment of drag racing's 5 million annual spectators who would plug their ears and turn away from a jackhammer blast on the sidewalk, but can't get close enough to the ground-shaking bellow and scream of dragsters hot off the line. Compared to what they're about to hear, the rattle of city's traffic's a soft whisper, the amplified rock concert a soothing melody. They come to listen, feel, sense the tremble in their bones, to smell and taste eye-burning exhaust, the quick, sharp reek of nitromethane fumes in the country air. Time, the first race, first round of top fuel eliminations. Big Daddy Don Garlits against past Winternationals champion James Warren. Moving up to the line, Garlits saying the track is still too slick. Worries there's not enough rubber down for good traction. Garlits, near side, stage, ready. And Big Daddy Don Garlits, trying not to smoke his tires, guesses wrong.
Well, she was just a little bit cold on the engine, and the track had a little more bite than I anticipated. We were afraid we had the bad lane, and we were afraid that it was going to get the tires loose, and I just left it a little greasy and it bogged. Either does right or it's totally wrong. That was totally wrong. Oh, it's terrible. It's like a trauma you go through, because the car was really running good. It's a very, very sad thing.
The ups and downs of drag racing. You play chess, learn from each other. Big Daddy's error tells the snake, use more power on the start. Think time and how to save it.
There's a great deal of concentration for it. I'd say more so than any other type of driving. There's no room for error. Covering the quarter mile, 230 miles an hour, and in 6 seconds, it can get away from you plenty easy.
Elimination rounds continue throughout the day, reducing the field of top fuel dragsters to a final 2. For the snake, the quarter-mile strip is like a long highway. Now staged against top runner Danny Ungaitis. Prudhomme's engine squirting fire, losing horses, but winning by less than a car length. Fire and blue smoke. Do you change the engine or not? Time. You have to make decisions almost as quick as you run the quarter mile.
Burn it up.
Yep. To the dragster.
Thing went crazy. Look at that one.
An engine has sickness symptoms like a human. You listen, touch, smell, and sometimes, many times, you guess. Fuel mixture too lean, you overheat the engine. Too rich, you load it up. Too much nitro, you blow it up. Valves burn, pistons melt, bearings seize. Don and Keith like pour through the list of what can go wrong. Looking at spark plugs of an engine like looking down a child's throat. You're looking for a clue.
Yeah. Well, look at this. I think have you got time to pull the heads and change the thing or not?
Well, it'd be darn
quicker
near
than try to change the motor, wouldn't it?
Change the head, put the heads on it. Fix what?
I don't know which is the quickest you do.
Okay, well, the thing of it is the other one has steel heads on it.
You gotta change the engine.
Let's change the motor.
Half an hour to do it, but another engine goes in time for another elimination run. Big Daddy makes an 11th hour appearance on foot. He has pushed aside his own personal misfortune to help an old rival. In drag racing, it's remarkable how often so many will turn to when help is needed. A last-second shutdown, but Prudhomme wins again.
Boy, she just went down here. I don't
One
know
run after another, hanging on. Prudhomme gathering an army of helpers.
Let's go. All right, let's get it back.
Leaving Prudhomme to repair yet another engine, let's look at the drag racer's world. A carnival of people, sound, color. Classes grouped into 7 major categories. This is drag racing in the 70s, and the mood that embraces it. Like a piece of rock music on wheels, the funny car grows in popularity. You work inside the funny with noise and tire smoke. They're quick, erratic, plastic bodies on a shorter wheelbase than a dragster, but just as much power. A real bear to handle. Women are beginning to excel and win in major drag competition. Among the successful ladies, funny car pilot Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney.
One thing hard about being a woman driver is the fact that we know we've got to go out there and do the best we can, but if a woman makes a mistake, it's going to be noticed more so if a man goes out there and makes a mistake. So we kind of don't hang in there as long as the fellas do. Not saying we can't do it, but we think it's best.
Cha-Cha Muldowney, wife, mother, on the road 8 months of the year, an itinerant life, driving her funny car down one drag strip after another. She knows well the dangers of this sport, having lost the friend who got her involved.
I figured if it could happen to him, it can happen to me. But I went right out the next week and I drove. And that's just like when you fall off a horse, you get back on it. And I'm a good driver, and I've got just as good a chance as anyone here. Women have better reflexes, and men psych very easily.
It's a surprise to find a woman sitting in a funny car, talking racing, man to man.
I'm digging that foot shifter, Connie. But I pre-staged the car, and then I put my foot right up there.
Cha-Cha's racing partner, the bounty hunter, Connie Calita.
Remember, if you come up on it, you'll smoke the band right out of that 2-speed. That's the only way you can do it.
Well, I get my heel on it.
All right, now look it. You said yesterday at the brakes you couldn't slide the tires.
No.
In a burnout.
Not on the burnout.
You know, that's one thing we'll have to talk with John about. He should be out here after a while. We'll change the mechanical linkage on it.
I don't like the throw of it. You know, it just feels funny.
Well, it's solid. See, the brake is solid. In other words, you don't have enough mechanical advantage on the master cylinder. It's hard. I have troubles. Everybody has troubles with it. It's just too much load on the rear end.
I don't know about that in that bump spot. I just hope it gets a little bit warmer.
Temperature cool, tires hard, track slick. Cha-Cha, one more chance.
Last qualifying attempt down the drain, unable to find traction off the line here at the Pomona Fairground.
Hooked up beautiful on the dry burnout. It hooked up beautiful, and then it just started to go. So I stopped and it backed up. Worked it, and she just boiled it.
So goes the changing face of drag racing. It may well be the liberated woman's most outrageous, unexpected triumph.
Time after he wins this round, we let the water out, then you goop it all up with a yellow stuff. That'll keep the water in there.
Eliminations continue. The quarterfinals just around the tick of the clock. Don Prudhomme has it all laid out, with a lot of help from his friends, including Big Daddy Don Garlits.
The next time the snake will owe me one, see if I need an engine change. Right.
The idea he's pushed his luck, begged fate, borrowed time, never enters Prudhomme's head. He's able to answer the call one more time. Gary Cochran now up against the snake, and like 'em all, he wants to beat him. On the line. The snap of a parachute ends the run, and no moment is as lonely as when you lose.
Yeah, it just didn't hold. The tires didn't hold. It just went up in smoke.
Working continually for 4 long days, the snake has come up a loser. He's run that 1,320 yards so many times, but it's always different.
So was I. I was hoping he'd shut off, or something. He didn't.
It hurts.
It hurt her, too.
Too much throttle on Pomona's slick track. He simply broke loose at the wrong moment. And it sure went up in smoke.